Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's a copy of the agenda tonight. All the reports were circulated.
Okay.
Yes, yes, very well, thank you. How are you? There's someone else just coming upstairs. Yeah, it's all right. There's someone else just coming upstairs, and then there's Willow and Jill driving down the road.
They're not coming. We've got 2 minutes.
Someone's driving down the road.
Not Willow and Jill, because she's just messaged saying, well, that house is not coming this.
Sometimes, man.
That's what we all do.
Come on, the end there
I'm all right, yeah, how are you? All right.
Not wrong with me, am I?
That's the best place.
Just Les Walsh coming upstairs and Ed Reed, we'll let him in because he's a scrutineer. Yeah, Ed Reed.
Keep signing it on the left hand side, please.
Well, welcome. Thank you for coming. Right on time. Brilliant. So we come to the AGM 2021, and we look forward to looking back on this last year's business. So thank you all for coming. Before we actually get to the business side of the meeting, I'd like us to stand and remember those who have died in this last year, those members. I'd like to stand. And I'll have a time of silence to remember Kath Juden, remembering, of course, Howard and Mark, Nigel's mother, remember Nigel and his sisters, Paul Daniel's brother, who is very ill at this moment, and Stan Kurd, who's making recovery but is seriously ill in hospital. It would be good to remember all those during a minute's silence. We'd like to sit down. Now I'm going to hand over to Phil to take us through the mighty agenda he's drawn up. Thank you very much.
Right, thanks everyone. If you're wondering why we're all mic'd up, it's because there's a loop system for those are hard of hearing, so if you have got hearing aids, you can put them on. We'll try to keep the feedback down to a minimum. It's also been recorded for posterity at the back there, so we haven't allowed anyone by Zoom to come at this time, so your votes here that count today. You've all got a copy of the agenda, and you've all had copies of the reports by email, so you should have everything. So I'm not going to say we'll fly through everything, but we'll keep moving on, if that's okay. And then there'll be plenty of opportunity to question the report, those who have submitted a report, and at the end, once the formal meeting is over, questions, answers, etc. We've got the two top fellows at the table there, and several other officers around the room, so feel free to, at the end, if there's anything that's not on the agenda, have a chat with them. Okay. Apologies for absence. They're recorded on the sheet at the back and will be recorded in the minutes. So if you have anyone else, please just add them to it. Item number 3 then is the minutes of the AGM 2020. They were also circulated to you, and I would like, if possible, someone to propose them as a true record of the meeting and someone to second them. They were checked by the General Committee at the first General Committee meeting this year. If anyone could propose them, please. Propose, Nigel. Seconder. Thanks, Grant. All those in favour of accepting the minutes as a true record, show please. Anyone against? Any abstentions? That's carried in common, thank you. Matters arising. We haven't really identified anything. I'm sure that some of the matters arising will be the same matters arising we have every year. You know, so anyone's got any matters arising that they would like to bring up now? No, thank you. The Commodore's report. You had a copy of the Commodore's report, and it's on the screen there. If you are good at your eyesight's good. Are there any comments or questions you would like to ask the Commodore regarding his report or the activities of the year from his point of view of 2020-21? No?
Just like to thank the Commodore for the work he's done in the past 12 months.
Yeah. You have to excuse me just every so often to write things down. You've been bank-dated. The Secretary's report will be the next item. That was circulated. That was obviously from me, and the main concern that I was asked to report on really was succession, and there's going to be a very big thing that we're all going to talk about over a period of time: succession for the committee and the management of the club. So you've all read the report. I think it was pretty self-explanatory, but if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Anything? Great. This case, the really important one, which is the Treasurers and Scrutineers report. You had a copy of that. And the Scrutineers report was, well, the Treasurer's report was formulated by John, and there's a Treasury team now of John, Mike and myself, and we're working together, and it's working quite well. The accounts are in a healthy position. We are financially healthy. We've got money behind us if a big job does turn up or something does turn up that we need to get sorted. The reserves, since the report was written from the Treasurer's point of view, since the report was written, we had all the money within one bank and we were over the banking and the guarantee limit. Since that point, up until now, that's been resolved. We've opened accounts for the second bank and all the accounts are below the banking guarantee limit now. Which We have this, one of the scrutineers here from that particular year, which is Ed. And from my reading of your report, Ed, you were quite happy with things. So you, if anyone has any questions regarding the scrutineer's report, please do have a word with him afterwards or anything. But we've introduced on Ed's advice and Oliver's advice over the last couple of years various measures. So we've gone to internet banking, we've gone to a club credit card and debit card, so we can cut out a lot of the messing around that we had for shopping and buying stuff for the clubs. And we've gone to online accounting systems, which seem to be working. And fortunately, this year, the financial year ended on the 30th of June. And 2 weeks later, Ed had the reports to check over all the accounts. So that seemed to work as well. Now, I can't guarantee it'll go that smoothly every year, but it seemed to go quite smoothly this year. So, Ed, have you got anything you want to mention? Or
Only, I think, that from my point of view, it was so much better this year. The records were all in order, all in one file, everything was completed very early. I think there should be commended made to get to that point.
all right, thanks. Yeah, thanks. But the team. We intend just to carry on the way we're going at the moment. We haven't got any major changes coming to the way the three of us going to run the finances, apart from we've got this savings money away now in a separate bank account. That's it. So I would like a proposer, please, to propose that we accept the accounts and the scrutineer's report and do them together. That's fine. So someone's quite happy. Thanks, Mandy. Seconder, please. Who's happy with the accounts as they are? Thanks, Colin. All those in favour of accepting the accounts and treasurer's report and the scrutineer's report? Thank you. Anyone against? Any abstentions? No, that's carried. Thank you. Right. Next one is Mike's report, the Vice Commodore Savings. Quite a detailed report, as usual, because most of the activities are covered by the Vice Commodore. Again, it's circulated. Mike, have you got anything to say, or would you like to mention anything? Because it's quite a lot in your report, wasn't it?
I'd just like to say that I've probably spent about 5 years doing the Vice Commodore's job. I'd like to thank Nigel for being volunteered to take over. Although I know he's been demoted to Rear Commodore as opposed to Vice Commodore. But one of the things I suggested in the report is that the sailing committee way back was designed to promote racing and sailing boats, basically. Things have changed. So the sailing committee really needs to look at the way it operates and the things that they do. So I think that's the first thing that the committee needs to have a look at in the coming year. But apart from that, thank you, Martin.
Thanks for all your efforts in the past.
Okay, thanks, Mike. No questions for Mike? Someone coming in. Right, yeah, 2 o'clock start. If you just find him over there.
Yeah, apologies, I thought it was 2:30 start, so it's
All right.
my fault.
You voted you in as Commodore for the next year. The next report would be the property committee. Unfortunately, Paul can't be here. The report was circulated. Paul can't be here today. He's got his brother's very, very ill. So it's just a general report on everything that's going on. If anyone has any questions about the property side of things, I would suggest you either mention them to me or David or Mike afterwards, and we'll get Paul to answer them either by email or whatever. But, the property committee is, you'll see from the nominations, it's got a few people on it, good people, and it's meeting now, it's thriving. I think I'll leave the rest to Paul's report, if you can read that. And if there are any questions about it now for the meeting, rather than perhaps we can answer.
I don't have any questions about the report, but we have ongoing problems with property, which will be addressed, and hopefully will be addressed. Probably in the new year.
Okay. We have to give the property committee the chance to sort themselves.
Yeah.
Everyone happy with that? Yeah. The next one will be the membership report. So has produced a report, which, as you can see, the membership is actually up on last year and the previous year. So we're doing well membership wise. We've gained quite a few members since the report was produced. We saw 3 new members yesterday, 1 family unit, 1 individual. So people are still keen to come and join us. 223 members was the 8th of November. So we're slightly above that now. But we're doing quite well. And speaking to the clubs around, we are in a healthy position membership wise. David, you were out last night. Was there any membership?
Yeah, they've gone up as well.
Have they? Yeah. So that was Fiddler's Ferry. Yeah. But it seems to be a general trend. Local trading seems to have picked up, and we seem to be doing quite well. So we can't argue with that. Interestingly, I know some of you do alternative water sports. Kite surfers have saved West Cheshire. They were really struggling, West Cheshire, and this is just for a bit of information. Really. The local kite surfers who sail off the beach just off there have joined West Cheshire en masse, have got the bar thriving again, so we're all invited for a drink if over you're over there. So, all right, next one will be the training report. Pretty obvious that we haven't done any. We've just started first aid training again, and that was to get our instructors up to speed, really. So that will start, hopefully. I mean, we don't know if things will change again. If things stay as they are, we will be starting again in 2022. We've got all power boat dates in. And again, that's a hopeful thing. The VHF dates are in, first aid dates are in, and we're a meeting, as soon as Paul's free, we'll have a meeting to sort out safety groups. But there will be a full programme created, and it's just whether circumstances and lockdowns allow us to do it then. So, we have a new member joined yesterday, who is a dinghy instructor as well. So we've got our training teams actually increasing. So that's the training. We come down, we need to elect the scrutineers. And all that would have George Hollis hasn't turned up, but I mean, George has been our scrutineer for years. These are the scrutineers for the meeting. Okay. And all that is if there's a contentious decision, they do the hand count. Okay, and report to the Commodore with the hand count. So if it's just 2 people are quite there, we might not even need to use it, but just 2 people who hopefully can count up to 40.
I'd like to volunteer these 2 ladies here.
Okay, yeah, okay. Meeting scrutiny.
How many fingers do you have?
It's only in case things go wrong. So next on the business is actually to agree the subscriptions. The General Committee proposed that individual membership is increased to £200 a year, family membership to 270, both of which, if paid on time, can be discounted by £25. So that will bring that down, and new members will pay the discounted rate. And so they get that when they join. The discounted period for members and the renewal discount is the 28th of February. And the youth junior rate, not youth, junior rate, we proposed to stay at £50. It was our long stated aim over the last 7 or 8 years, was to get it up to about £1 a week-ish. So we've got it there, so we're quite happy to leave it there for now. So the General Committee proposed it. All those in favour of those rates, please signify. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you, so those rates are increased. Standing for the ladies, you're not needed to count that. So, right. Next one is the election of the account scrutineers, our current account scrutineers, and these work for you, the membership. They're not working for the committee. They are your account scrutineers. They're working there for you. And Oliver has requested to stand down this year. So it was Ed and Oliver. They've done it for 2 or 3 years together. And Howard has volunteered to be the second scrutineer with Ed. If you're happy with that, of course, if anyone else wants to volunteer, speak now or forever hold your peace, really. But if not, we would propose on your behalf that Ed and Howard are your scrutineers for 2022 or the 2021-22 year, and they will review the accounts at the end of this financial year, July next year. All those in favour of Ed and Howard? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you, that's carried. Write that one down. We've got, next is the election of the officers and committee members. Quite an extensive list, which is a good sign, you know, although we are concerned with succession and keeping things running, we actually are getting a good team together, and we need you to vote your management in for next year. Firstly, our Commodore, David, we've already recorded thanks to this meeting for his excellent service in the last 12 months, has agreed or offered to stand for re-election. Now, if no one else has jumped up and proposed, I didn't receive any other nominations, so I can say that David has really been unopposed, but because he is the Commodore, I would ask you to vote for him. So all those in favour of David being Commodore for an extra year? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much, David. Congratulations. You can do a speech at the end. Yeah?
I thought you'd have gone against that, Joe.
You can make a speech now if you wish. Yeah, you're the boss.
Yes, thank you very much for re-electing me. It's an honour. To be honest, I was at another club yesterday and the Commodore was saying what hard work it is. And he's going, how hard, and he's so glad, you know. And to be honest, I haven't done a lot of hard work because everybody else has done all the hard work. So I'm very grateful to the committees and all those who worked so hard and made my job very easy. I look forward to the coming year.
Right. There are no positions in the General Committee, Sailing Committee, Social Committee, or Bar Committee, or Property Committee that were at any point contested. So we weren't overrun with people asking for, you know, to stand against someone. So the rest of the positions, rather than go through them individually, I would suggest we take them on block. If everyone is happy to do that, we take them on block and say all those in favour of the nominations as per your notice. That's all right. Yeah? Happy with that? Yeah. So all those in favour of the rest of the nominations, please signify. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Don't put your hand up now, though. And thank you. That's it. That's carried. Yeah. So, and thanks for everyone who stood again for this year. There are several new names on several committees, as they are per your list. That's there. At the back of your AGM notice, there were 2 sheets of accounts, which was last year's profit and loss and last year's balance sheet. They were only included because the account system that we were using was so new, you couldn't get the comparative data in. Next year, you should have in there on the same sheet, hopefully, if I can press the right button. So that is, ladies and gents, the end of the formal meeting. Thank you for making it so easy, and thank you also for attending on such a rubbish day. This is the opportunity now. You've got the Commodore, the Vice Commodore, there's several rear Commodores floating around the room, the Treasurer. If you want to either ask questions formally or in the bar afterwards over a beer, that's up to you. But as far as the meeting goes, the formal part of the meeting is over. Thank you.
I'm sure we'd all like to thank you for the hard work that you've put into preparing and organising the meeting. It's been a credit to you all.
Yeah, thank you. So if anyone's got any questions, David, again, these are mic'd up and there is a microphone here. We will also be doing the 200 Club. So the draw for November as well. So we can do that in a minute. I'll stand up here.
Yes, if you have a question, it would be helpful to me if you use the microphone. It might be helpful to other people as well.
David's hooked into the loop system, so we're all fed straight into his ear. Are there any questions for any of the management team? It doesn't have to be for David, it can be for any of the management team. Formal questions? No?
It's just really, David, it's just about all of the old boats that are, all the old boats that are around the club.
Yeah.
That we need to sort of do something
Yeah.
with really, and just looking at what the proposals are to tie your load out and create further opportunities for future.
Can I pass that to Mike, if we can give you the boat charge?
Michael, pass it on to.
Back to you, it's very
Really, so there isn't a lot you can do in that all the boats are owned by individuals. Most of the vast majority, as far as I can remember, pay the boat park fees. What else can you do? If we decided to get rid of like one of the big yachts that hasn't been paid for over there, it's quite a complicated business to go through a process of informing the owner that we're going to sell it, put it on eBay or whatever. And it's just quite a big chore for somebody to take on to actually dispose of the boat. Most of our problems here, if we were going to dispose of them, you can't just burn them, basically. They have to be broken up and dismantled, etc. And that's an expensive business as well. So it's a bit of a catch-22, really.
Okay, so we are getting payment, for we are getting payment for most of these anyway.
There's
So
only
there's
about,
only two. There's two.
two boats where we can't trace the owners, basically.
Is it something you'd want us to really do, actually?
No, I just wanted to make everybody aware that it's all, we're getting money in for all the boats that are there that are standing. Because when you look at some of the boats,
Colin?
Yeah. The boats, the boats that can be got rid of, i.e. taken apart, I'm quite prepared to do that. I'll come down to the club and take them apart, and maybe we could pay for a skip, so that when it's all taken apart and chopped up, fill a skip up with the ones that we can do that with. I'm quite prepared to do that.
All the things will be referred to committee in the end anyway, so the ideas will be taken and talked about, decided. Thank you very much for volunteering.
There is quite a process we have to go through, as Mike said. So we have to, it's a system of registered letters, and it goes through. Even though we've got it in our rules, there's still this system of registered letters. And then we trace the owner, and then we have to auction the boat or get the best value that we can for the boat, and then we take out what's left that they owe us. So some of the boats owe us quite a few bob. But
We're talking about the ones that basically don't belong to anybody anymore.
that's two.
Yeah.
That's only two boats there.
All
So
right.
that's what, as Mike said, the rest, all the other boats have been paid for. They're paying their subs and they're paying their boat park fee. Now, it's not up to us to decide that their boat is not up to the standard that you may require. That's the owner's individual choice.
Well,
isn't it?
then two votes, whichever they are, I'm quite prepared to take them apart, whether, whether,
Well, that's not how it works, Colin, unfortunately. That's not how it works.
okay,
How it works is we go through this process and then we have to put them on auction. Now, whether that be Apollo Duck or whether it be eBay, to get the best possible price. Then we have to hold any money that we get for a certain period of time, because in case the owner turns up and goes, that's mine. So, and then we have to prove that we've gone through this process of trying to get hold of them, to identify them. And if, for example, just say that Blue Osprey, is it?
Yeah.
If that owes us £7,000 and we get 6,900, the fellow owes us 100 quid. Unfortunately, if we get £7,001, we owe him £1. And that's how it works. Although we have it in our rules that we could do it an awful lot quicker. So in actual fact, if no one pays their boat park fee by June or July, we can actually take measures to sell their boat.
so what are you
So
saying?
we wouldn't do that.
All these
obviously.
small little dingy type boats,
All paid.
they're all being paid for.
All being paid for. Yeah.
Well,
Even the 2 yachts, the 3 yachts at the back there, 2 of the 3 are paid for every year. And the membership comes in and no, it's up to us. It's not our decision that.
okay, well, we know for a fact that nobody's been down to look at them or anything. Could we not put them maybe closer together to create more space? Yeah, maybe put them in a certain part of the compound.
We actually did, when we had a move around a year or two ago, before the lockdown, we actually did that. All those 3 yachts out the back there were all shoved in a corner out of the way because nobody can near them. And there are 1 or 2 other boats you could move around, but that not that much space to play with, to be honest.
Okay.
And
So
then,
I'm prepared to help with that,
and to move some of the boats, even some of the smaller ones, you might have to hire a crane or something to do it because they're always something in the mud. And, so it's quite a big problem.
And I think it's something we all feel, we'd love to be able to do something about it, so we will see what can be done. It's quite constant, isn't it?
Can I tell you one? Just say, last night we were at Fiddler's Ferry, and their policy is, if a boat is not sailed or attended to for a year, they increase the boat park fees.
Yeah. Yes, there is always that possibility. And the one that they used in Pilkington Sailing Club was that the less you used the boat, the further back the boat park you went until you ended up in the Brambles. So there are options. We haven't got that much of a waiting list now for people wanting boat park space. And when the invoices go out for membership, we know for a fact we're going to lose a couple of members and their boats, so they might go. And when the boat park invoices go out at the end of March, or they become payable at the end of March, then we might get some space. So we always having this sort of swings and roundabouts thing going on, and it's just. But at the moment, we haven't reached the stage where we've got to take action like that. But it's always within our remit. If that's what we want to do. We'll bring it to the meeting here. The next one and say, well, we want this rule, that rule regarding the boat park changed or strengthened.
I think given the challenging conditions that given the challenging conditions we have sailing at this club, one of the joys of sailing here is having a boat that you don't sail. I think it's something we have talked about in the review and the review. If we need your service to break something up, I'll call for you.
Okay.
I mean, one of the problems with fiberglass boats is getting rid of them.
Yeah.
Really, that's the thing. The tip won't take them anymore. So what we have done in the past is offered them to schools and smile beds. Planters.
The problem for Nigel in his new position to consider, having raised the question. Over to you.
I knew you'd get along with
Get the
that.
points across that there's some boats lying around, but that people are paying for them So as long as we're getting money in for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll find that in most sailing clubs, Nigel, most boat parks, is that there are boats that don't go on the water. You know, but there are people who still their pride and joy, and that their hobby is more the maintenance of them, or the social side of coming down and working on their boats with everyone else there. We know for a fact there's a few members here like that. Their boats are never going to touch the water.
But there are those who experience, they really lower the whole atmosphere because of the state they're in. And we love to go to do something about them. And I think it's something we have to consider an ongoing problem.
Yeah. It's whether we should be deflating someone's pride and joy, their dreams, their sailing dreams, by saying your boat doesn't look very good.
Would be the friendly club then, Phil, would it?
No, that's, there's a compromise to be made, isn't there? So,
No, it's true. No, I'm being serious.
yeah, there is a compromise to be made, and that's part of the club. There are 2 or 3 people regular down here that their boats are not going to see the water. We know that. So that's not really a problem. And conversely, if all 200 members and their boats turned up on one day to launch, we'd be in trouble. So it's the old golf club type thing, isn't it? The golf club's got 1,000 members, but they can only take 50 at a time or whatever. Yes, Pete.
Is there an option to do anything with any of the 4-wheel drives sitting out the front?
2 of them don't belong to us.
Right.
So we're going to ask the owner to get rid of them for us, take them off. The L200 belongs to the club. That needs a bit of attention to get using again. The main problem that we have with them is the insurance. The insurance that the insurers decided they had to be insured as road vehicles, rather than. Whereas prior to that, they'd insured them sort of as a plant, so that, even for the L200, they were up to £800–900 a year for insurance. Because this path along the front here is public access, and that's the main problem. So if we can close the path off permanently, then we could probably be okay. So that will be reviewed by the general committee, but the other 2 will ask them. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to move again. So we'll get rid of them.
The other
No,
challenging questions.
that's all right. Yeah. This is the time to ask them, really. But again, feel free to email me with anything that crops up or you think of after, because it's better to get it all sorted and mentioned. What we would like to do now is the 200 club draw for November.
Can I just say, with a friend who passed away on whole fish, never mentioned.
A big one, yeah. It's something got that. There is one left, so if anyone's got any spare fish at home in their ponds, bring them down. We had hundreds in there, and then the cormorant was going backwards and forwards like a buffet table.
The other thing, besides the question that, not necessarily now, but now and another time in the future, it's good to have suggestions. Suggestions as we do or alter, and we're good if you could feed them through.
Yeah, any ideas, that improve the club. We had a very successful film night recently after a suggestion from one of our members, started that off, so that'll become a regular feature. Unfortunately, she goes down a little bit too much of now on committee. But any ideas, and we'll put them straight to the general committee anyway, so the relevant committee. The broadcast is still there. There's a big problem with broadcast nationally, is the insurance.
Yeah, because you're.
The insurance now, they wanted thousands of pounds for us to use them, even for training.
Yeah.
There was no leisure low karting. I don't know if you call it sailing or what you do low karting anyway. There was no facility for that. It had to be a formal training course with formal qualified instructors on the runway, and the insurance was, I think it was about 6,000 or 7,000. So they obviously didn't want the business. So they're not there. Now what we've suggested is half the block carts were part owned with Merseyside Youth Challenge Trust, which is not there now, but they're trying to restart again. So our proposal, when we get nearer the time, or once they get up and running a bit better, is that perhaps they might want to take them over. They've got some grass around their area, and
Still have the insurance start.
well, yeah,
Their problem.
It's the same problem.
yeah. The other problem that we had was that because here on all their lands, they're very efficient at getting rid of travellers, but they didn't want travellers going on there. So they dug up the sides of the runway, the strip of runway that was left. So where a blow cart could at one time just sort of skid off the side of the runway and go onto the grass, now there's a bump and a pile of mud, and they take off.
Land.
Yeah.
That's what stopped it in the end, because we had this one kid pile into it and we were going to have an injury. And it's all because they put these ditches on the side of the runway. It was fine before that.
So are they now? I'm just thinking.
No, we've raised that question ourselves within General Committee. We haven't had a chance to discuss it any further. And it looked, our preferred way would be to get someone to use them. If Merseyside Youth Challenge Trust would want to do it. The only other ones would perhaps be a sea cadet unit or something, because they have the overall overarching insurance from the Royal Navy. So there are several alternatives that we can investigate. It's not viable for us to do it.
I'm just sorry we can't use them, but there isn't this place to really use them safely now. Which is a shame, but
There's very, very few council lands, a bit like we're all, beaches and that we can use. Yeah.
Is it still sand dancing at Wyley?
I don't know. Yeah, I think, now whether
That would go as a limit, wouldn't it?
yeah.
I haven't seen any in the last couple of years.
We can probably find out. But there's just that there just seemed to be no, I don't know if there were any fatalities or anything. What caused it? But the insurance just went sort of boom. The councils went boom. So you're not at Southport and Formby beaches that they're finished now. They don't even have organised events there.
there was a fatality, wasn't there?
Was there? Yeah.
And we had a claim.
Yeah, we had a claim here. Yeah, it wasn't our fault. So,
Did we cough for that or did
No.
the challenge cough?
Yeah, there was, I'll explain that if anyone really wants to know, but it wasn't our fault. Right, so anything else? We can do the 200 club then. We're up to 42 members of the 200 club. For those who don't know, it can go up to 200 numbers. Once we have a waiting list, we might go make it a 300 club. But the prizes are pro rata. I'm not sure what they are this time, but obviously 42 numbers. The top prize will be 42 quid. So if anyone's interested in joining the 200 club, it costs you £1 a week. That's all it is. You pay by standing order.
It's a very useful fund. It's done an awful lot of work with it.
Yeah,
So
so
it's been very useful.
yeah, there are quite a few things that have come out of it, including the tellies, the yellow barrier at the other end to stop you having to use the sliding barrier all the time. Tractor parts. There are several things that come through. So, right. Now we have up till now used electronic ways and also the bingo caller machine type ways. Today we're using the electronic way, Mandy's number generator.
Don't win, Mandy, whatever you do.
Number 7.
Just
Phyllis Savino. Yeah.
Rob McIntyre.
What price is that?
Second. Yeah.
We're a fortune.
16.
Thank you very much. If anyone does want to join that, let me know. It's easy enough to set up. Ladies and gents, that's the end of the formal meeting. If you want to talk to any of the officers, They will be floating around, but the bar is open, so I'd imagine they'll want to drink first, and then you can have a chat with them there. So I'd like personally to thank Ed for sorting us out with the accounts and everything. So.
That'd be a terrific. We've had to- Got them at committee meetings.
So that's it.
Right, thank you, everyone. Now, before some of the big people disappear, we've got to get the telly back in there in time for football at 4 o'clock.
Andy, where are you?
Chelsea Man United.
Your turn, honey.
It's only
Oh, right.
we get straight off now.
The update is sitting up.
I'll take the glass and we'll play it.
Come up with you 2 days ago. So it's better, getting better each week. 2 steps. Better. Just said to me, I thought, I've got your headache, you know.
What is an amateur, an aneurysm,
Stop that.
Where is it?
In a best place.
Put him in.
He will be in
Yeah. That's all
So said, can we come in with Pleasant?
You need to be careful, you know, come away to the hospital and the whole time because especially while there's COVID stuff going around.
You're not allowed to take flowers in now, are you? Give him my regards. You never know the minute, do you? I've had the instructions. Anyway, you're looking good.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
This is actually where the glass is getting.
I'm so sorry to hear about your mum.
Yeah.
So how are you?
I mean, now at Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Person she was anymore, you know.
Almost like you lost her some time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
That's it, that's it. I mean, she couldn't speak, she was just sat in the chair.
Yeah.
She couldn't speak, so she couldn't communicate that much. And that's what she always used to do, she was always attacking to the
frustrating
body.
for everyone.
And she couldn't speak to let people know what she wanted. And you never knew whether she understood. She heard everything and she could, I mean, latterly, you know, last few years.
She didn't know you.
No, she didn't know. No.
And that makes it hard.
Years ago, if I was there years ago, she used to be shouting out, but she couldn't say a couple of words. She'd go, and it's almost as if there was somebody there that she didn't want,
Yes.
you know, in the room, somebody she didn't know, she wanted them to go away, you know, and get out. So that's, so it's quite funny, some of the things, you know, along the way, you know.
Oh, my mum used to have refugees in her room all the time. She used to say there was always refugees. Oh, my brother was in the cupboard. Yes. We came in one day and she said, oh, John's been there. I said, yeah. The day he's in that room. No, he's not. So I'm opening. He's not there. And then there's no point.
It's so sad. I mean, and it's worse for the family than for them.
Yes, yes, yes. It's harder when they're beginning it, when they know there's something not quite right.
Yeah.
But once
yeah.
they're past that stage, the steps it's easier.
Yeah.
But for them, but harder for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it started with another. I always remember, I sort of barely knew when it started because she had a little Ford Fiesta. And I can't get it into first gear. And I'm like, oh. So I went down there, jumped in the car.
It was funny.
It straight away. And I thought maybe it's a back. You know, because the back was a bit
Yes.
bad. Pressure on the clutch, you know, with the back. Anyway, that I realised now that was the start of it. And since then, we have to start sort of thinking about trying to stop it from driving.
Yeah, oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, David's sister in Spain had the same sort of thing. And really with her, it started, we were over there with her. And she said, I can't be hot water in the kitchen. And I went in to turn the tap the other way. It was one of the scribbles. And the tap turned it. And she, how did you do that? But she'd been living in the house for years.
So this at the beginning stage, she went to school and everything. I mean, she was brilliant at visiting. And we went there and we arrived just in time for lunch. And she put some chicken legs on. I mean, just chicken. So they came 2 times, and chicken legs. And that's all that happened.
But her fridge was full. And all sorts of stuff, pizzas and ready meals
Yeah.
And then she went into the kitchen at one point, we were eating this chicken, and she said, look what I just found, was a loaf of French bread. Oh, lovely, so we had French bread and chicken legs, it was lovely.
That was someone who was a professional cook.
Yeah, she knew what she was doing. It's sad as well.
Leslie's mum was in as well. And she got to the point where everything was going off in the fridge. She had stuff in the fridge, there was all kinds of eggs. You know, she was in there and eating. We didn't realise that she may not be. And the thing that really killed it was she was calling the police. She was calling the police saying that she stolen the watch.
I didn't buy it. So she was in home. And she started accusing him. Look, and they kept stealing the sherry.
She used to keep it in the wardrobe.
There was a Methodist one, he didn't even like one. She drank 200 every night. Fine. I really still refused to and reports to the manager and everything.
Leslie's mum did that, right? She said
Yeah.
You wait till I start.
Don't worry. I got that all organised.
You're well aware.
Yes, I'll be practicing.
Anyway, congratulations on your new appointment. Because if you tied it to something like that, it was nearly decapitated. It would go quick, smell something. So I tied a weight so it would break the snap. I know it sounds damn good. And then one time, I got a phone call. His name is Kelly. It's Kelly, what's your name? You got me down, and I said, yeah, all right, Kelly, because no, it's Kelly's butchers. It's gone down into the butchers, which is Kelly. I wasn't going to go. And another time we went missing. And somebody told me, I goes to the house, and there it is, and I said to him, it was a lovely time.